Phil Ratcliffe with Rebel Financial, and thanks for joining in to another one of our RF broadcasts. This week is going to be our monthly financial planning subject. And this week we're going to try to keep it timely for you, something that may be top of mind and very pertinent, and that's going to be going through this continuing pandemic. How to plan the hardships that may be happening, and also the opportunities that are available as well too. Just an intro, to where we are. There's a lot of uncertainty out there, right? So we're right in the middle of this, hopefully towards the end of this divisive election, and we're not sure what's going to happen. I've got clients on both sides of things that are really worried about how things are going to go if it goes either way. Remember, in terms of how you invest and plan and save for the long term, these short-term events are bumps in the road. We don't make decisions based on them. We put our eggs in different baskets, maintain our discipline, and over time, that's how you're rewarded. So, being disciplined is a strategy. It is sometimes taking the harder road, but it's very rewarding. Also, very worried about a second wave of the pandemic. Hopefully, we've crested the hill, and there will be a vaccine sometime sooner rather than later. But again, for now, our best defense is to take care of each other, do our social distancing, wear our masks, and eventually, one of these months in the coming year, we'll be able to get back to more normal. But again, if you do have your eggs in different baskets, kind of like what we tell you for, the wealth that you've saved up or accumulated already, with our clients, we've already harvested a lot of the growth where the markets have come back. So if it goes down again, it's very rare that you get an opportunity to buy a major market dip, 20 to 30% down twice in the same recession. So in that respect, obviously we don't want more people to die but when we look back a year or two from now, that would actually be advantageous financially. So again, in those respects, keep things in perspective. And then of course, we have conflicting information coming out about how long until there's going to be a vaccine. There's no more stimulus likely until after the election, just because they can't, come to terms on things, and neither side wants to do anything that makes it look like the other side won. So unfortunately, a lot of Americans just get caught in the crossfire there. And now we even have where the White House is dealing with COVID. And the president and first lady obviously recuperating from that. So there's a lot out there to where we don't know what the future is going to be, right? And I think a lot of the companies now, we're starting to see, Disney and other companies make big layoffs because, they were hoping they were going to get some more government stimulus. And even though they made billions of dollars the last few years, I guess they can't weather a shorter term downturn to take care of the people that need them the most. And unfortunately, the hardest hit through this thing has been, small business, middle class, and even the lower blue collar workers that aren't making as much, that probably didn't have as much savings. And so, that's half of what we're here to talk about today is what can you do? What can we do to get through this and come out the other side at least financially viable, if not stronger and more resilient financially. So first, let's talk about the harder side of things, the hardships, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's get it up there so you guys can follow along too. A lot of times you can find a lot of stuff about our company, the resources we have from our main website. We have a lot of coronavirus, COVID resources right here in terms of some of the things the government's done, some of the financial resources that may help you or understand, how to invest or get help, etc. All right, so let's keep moving on. So let's talk about the obvious and the worst case scenario is if you are seriously sick or a family member actually passes away that you're dependent on, or that your lives were together, or you built it in a life on two incomes, right? And now it comes down to one. There is going to be so many different permutations of this, okay? And so if something like that has happened, then obviously you've got to do the things to help you and your family get through. But you probably should engage someone like us, a financial planner that can help you say, all right, this is where you're at. These are the resources you have. Life insurance benefits from work. You're gonna talk about how you want life to be, and are you gonna downsize? You're gonna do the same thing, etc. And then that needs modeled out to say, well, how are we gonna use these resources, or what changes are we gonna make, so that everything's gonna be okay? Because you don't want to turn an emotional, personal tragedy into a financial one on top of it. And it is easy to want to kind of put your head in the sand and not want to have to deal with the financial side of things. But again, it's only going to make things worse. So as soon as you're, physically able, you need to kind of pull some of this stuff together and meet with a financial planner, someone that actually helps to build plans of, how to use resources effectively, retirement, college, budgeting, all of it put together. That's what you're going to need, and then they're going to be able, to help you address all the various things in between there. So this is a difficult one to say you should just do this in terms of the individual things, because there are just so many variations depending on the person's life and family, etc., that are going to make it very unique to what you need to do. So I would say, do some due diligence. One of the best resources, I'll give you two, is if you do the FPA's find. So FPA is the Financial Planning Association. So it's kind of our group of CFPs, certified financial professionals that take extensive training to be a financial planner. There's a code of ethics that requires that advisor, if they keep their CFP marks, to be a fiduciary to you. So that is a great tool. So again, you can just do like I did, planner search. You can search by state, by city, by name. My personal favorite tool would be NAPA's Find an Advisor. So NAPA is, first of all, you have to be a CFP to be in NAPA, but it's a National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, and they are fee only. So they've all dedicated to not only just be a fiduciary, but also be fee only, which means they don't take commissions, they don't take kickbacks, they only work for their clients on top of being a fiduciary. So you can search here as well too. So that's two good resources that you can use to find a good partner, planner, that's going to sit on the same side of the table as you, that is a professional in what they do and not just a salesperson of financial products or insurance, etc. So, kind of going down to the next, bad thing that could happen, hardship, would be to lose your job, to get caught on the wave of all the layoffs, small business closings, etc. And so, what do we do here? So I would say we can give some general advice here. It may be advantageous, again, to find a planner to help you, but again, that's tough because, a lot of us, we try to make affordable programs, but our most affordable program is $75 a month, right? And to add another expense, when you already have an income shortfalls, may not be doable, right? Again, if you get laid off and you have a decent amount of money from your 401k that you can roll over to an IRA, a lot of advisors can charge based off what you have with them, and you may not have to pay anything extra, and depending on what your 401k was, it might actually save you fees. So you still may have options, okay? So don't just discount it. Look into things. But anyways, let's look into the general things. So, first of all, when that happens, just got to look into what are the benefits. Are there benefits, in terms of severance? Is it a furlough where you get to keep some of the health care, etc.? Or is it a straight up layoff to where you lose everything? And so then you say, all right, what are the benefits that I have and how can I use them most effectively? Because sometimes it's just real easy, to be shocked and, even depressed, and then you don't even want to look at it or think about it. But you got to get everything that you can and make sure that you use those resources effectively, because who knows how long it's going to take before you're back in it, okay? So we need to make sure that we're using those. And then immediately get back to the positive side of things. What we're going to be doing next broadcast is talking about Zig Ziglar in our book review that we're doing, but how to stay motivated. Some of these self-help books that'll pick you back up, get you out there, you can do it, right? Don't lose that that confidence in yourself. Because that's going to help you do a lot of things. It's going to help you present your better foot forward when you do have interviews, or whatever the case, or even to just do things. Because like when we get down into it, the next thing could be, and again, what I was getting to there is make sure whatever you're good at, what your skills are, get your resume up there again, Career Builder, Monster, on LinkedIn, etc. I see so many people that are in between stuff, and the only thing it says on their LinkedIn is that they're still employed with the same employer. Like, no, kind of cut that off, put out there that you're looking, be proactive about it, dress up all your stuff. I can't even tell you, even when I'm, interviewing interns, it's like the first thing I go and look at is like, what is their LinkedIn? What have they done? How much time are they even spending, to put their best foot forward? One thing I learned at West Point in the military was, 90% of whatever you're presenting, like if you're doing a slideshow or whatever, is presentation, presentation, presentation. Just kind of real estate's location, 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 right? So you need to be able to present yourself well. It'll go far to put you ahead of a lot of other people. So, obviously the next step down is if you have reduced hours and pay. And so, in both of these things, we're going to get into some things that you can do. Is number one, unless your spouse is just killing it and you weren't really needing your income or what's out, reduce expenses. Like right away, you need to go into saying, hey, I don't need to do this. I don't need to eat out this many times a week. I don't need to, my cable and cell phone bill together is $400 a month. I know that sounds ludicrous, but that's how things are sometimes because you can afford it. No, cut down to the spectrum, $45 a month. I know you're going to lose a couple premium channels, but boom, you just cut your bill by like 90%, and maybe you only have 100 megabits per second instead of a half a gig. But you know what? How often do you use that anyways, right? Cut the expenses right away. Don't wait until you have to, because I know so many people that have done that to just say, we're just going to keep on living how we're living because we're not changing our lifestyle or our standard of living until it hits a head. And at that point, maybe you run up the credit cards, you pull down the savings, now it's an emergency, right? And not only did you spend down all that savings, but now you got all this debt that's at high interest, that's another expense on top of that, right? So we don't want to get there. I mean, if we do end up getting there because it takes a year or two or something like that, at least you've got all that time, right? You extended how long you can survive by taking proactive measures right away. So, in terms of cutting expenses, if you do have someone like us, our clients have access to this where they can link their accounts, for PNC or Kimba or whatever, and then you have a spending tracking and budgeting tool, okay? And so, people could come in here and say, how am I spending my money? And then say, all right, this is too much, we can cut back here, here, and here. I've even had to where people have an expensive car, but it's got a good resale, and they've got 2 or 3 cars now. Well, I mean, you can even get rid of the expensive car, sell it, cut back to the junker for a while, right? Until you get back, and then you come back, I'm gonna lose $2,000 or $3,000 off of that, in terms of what I bought it and sold it for. But man, if that saves you a $600 a month payment, plus some of the other things you do, you could really cut back your expenses. And almost make sustainable where you are. Is that where we want it? No, absolutely not, right? But if nothing bad has happened to you, I try to get our clients and talk to people about this too, especially if you're in an industry or profession that's not as secure, or it's looking like automation or AI or something in the future could really have an impact on it. We really need to be able to live on less, right? And it's tough for people to pull back their standard of living. Obviously, you may have to do it if you've gotten laid off or hours cut back. But if you're still going good, think about these things. The next time you get a raise or a bonus or what, so pad your savings, push up your 401k or your college savings, or even just your, savings account at the credit union or what, so don't build in some extra expense into your life. Because if you do that, it's a whole lot easier to just turn down your savings than it is to have to turn down your life, right? So, build in that cushion into your standard of living. I really like to see where we have 2 working couples that if they turned off all their savings, they could live off of one of the spouse's incomes, right? That's ideal, okay? That gives you a lot of safety net right there. So that's it. Reduce expenses, cut back immediately, don't wait. The next one is use your free time productively. Um, and so this may seem like a no-brainer, but so many times people are just like, well, I'm going to get online, I'm going to do applications, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to upgrade my LinkedIn profile, and then they're just waiting for an interview or someone to tell them they got a job or what. So there's so many things that you could be doing, like get on, the LinkedIn Learning and learn new skills. There's certification things that don't cost very much that will add up your skills, more things to where eventually, that's going to make somebody say, well, this is a deciding factor of this person versus that person. Look at things that you could do almost like freelance-wise that would help you. There are lots of different programs now, from like TaskRabbit to Upwork to different things where you can use your skill. And it is kind of like starting your own business, but it's more like freelance work and you get paid. Yeah, your taxes are going to be a little bit more complicated, but if you have money coming in the door, great. You're building up your experience, you're staying involved. You may network with people that eventually are like, wow, you're great. We'd really like to have someone like you full time on here, right? So learn new skills. Fix and upgrade things. There are a lot of things you could do, at your place to reduce expenses, and whether that's doing a little handiwork to put in, the new shower head that's going to save water, or, maybe a little bit of an expense. But I know right now through AEP I can buy light bulbs that are subsidized like dirt cheap for LEDs. You got incandescents and fluorescents and stuff, get rid of them. Get LEDs to save you a decent amount of electricity. So anyway, there are lots of things that you can do, but these productive things, again, they're going to go into your mentality of like, hey, I'm doing something, I'm productive, I'm awesome. You're reducing expenses, and just that in your mind is going to help you with everything else. And get new certifications. There are lots of things from Google and Microsoft, and a lot of them are for free. You can get an AdWords certification. You can learn how to program something, like say Salesforce. You can learn how to build things in the developer side of Salesforce. I mean, over 50% of S&P 500 companies use Salesforce. They need developers, and a lot of them aren't going to build up their workforce, but maybe they'll hire somebody as a contractor. There are tech companies that just hire programmers to be on their kind of payroll or as consultants, and they find work for them, right? There's so many different things we need to do. Don't get pigeonholed and you're just saying, I gotta get the same exact job I had before. If you can and you loved it, then great. I'm not trying to take that away from you. But again, the more options you have, the more probability that you're gonna fall into one of these things that's really gonna help you. Actually, in a couple weeks on November 6th, we're gonna be talking to Scott Henderson from Cube Money, and they also have a program that's all about budgeting and figuring out how to use the resources you have efficiently. So tune in for that. It's November 6th, but you can check them out. Like say, I can't afford to hire a financial planner right now and use their tools like I was showing you. There are other tools out there that are less expensive. I mean, some of them are for free. And so like when I was actually looking into some of the things for opportunities, the Ohio site, 'cause we're in Ohio, I mean, they have budgeting calculators and lifestyle calculators and stuff right here on their main website, which is Ohio Means Jobs, right? And the federal government, so getting into the opportunities now, right? The federal government has given out lots of grants to help the states. I mean, anywhere from like 20 to, $1 million per state. And a lot of that money has been used, but again, the states are trying to do a lot too. That was just an injection for them, to help more from federal and state. So, we need to look at some of these opportunities as well too. So yeah, some things you're gonna have to pay for, some things can be free, but then there can be other opportunities to more formalized type things that do cost money and take more time. And there may be financial assistance from that, from your state or from the federal government. Or even, some companies are providing assistance that are doing better now, like Amazon and Apple, et cetera, that have like actually benefited from this downturn. So, check out those resources, and this just took me 2 minutes of a Google search to look up, what's the Fed doing, and then coming back over to what's the translation into Ohio. You can even look at your local, Department of, Family and Job Services or Jobs and Family Services, because they have a lot of things as well too, because they deal with the unemployment and so. And obviously, if you're laid off and eligible, file for your unemployment as soon as possible, follow up with everything they give to you, and then take the benefits. This is our country, and all of us indirectly are paying into it, or if you're a business owner, you're directly paying into it. But this is our safety net. We're not doing it to get over what's so. This is a hard time. You're off work. Take those benefits and then do some of the things proactive that I told you, and let's get back there and be productive and get a job and help build them back up for the next time we need them again, right? So looking at opportunities, I would say one of the things that a lot of people, aren't thinking about except for refinancing their house, which is obviously doable, right? And it could save you money. I'm not a big fan of refinancing houses. Like, say you paid on it for 15 years of a 30, and then somebody refinances back to a 30. Like, that's bad. Like, loans are amortized, okay, which means that you pay more interest up front than you do later on through the loan. So when you get down through that loan, you're paying more and more principal. So you're starting to get that monkey off your back, right? If you just go back to the 30 again, then that's when the banks win. That's when they get to collect all that interest over again. They're like, yes, go ahead, start over again. Now, sometimes you're in a hard situation, and if you still have that other spouse's income that could allow you to qualify to refinance, because they're going to want to see your income on the application, right? And you got to do that, and it takes your payment down from like $1,500 to $1,800 per month or what so. Man, that could really help you and save you in the short term. But just remember, when you get back and things are going good, probably need to be making a $1,500, $1,600 payment at that, so that you're not losing to that amortization, and the banks are winning off of that. But interest rates are really low. So what are some other things that means? That means if you had to do something, say you wanted to downsize your house, you could take a line of credit at super duper low, fix up your house, kick it off, and you could downsize and pocket some of that money. Maybe you even use some of that to start a business. I'm going to hit on that a little bit later. But again, if you have some of these opportunities, again, you may want to look into hiring a financial planner, because they can help you say, yes, it's a good idea, no, it's a bad idea. If you're going to do this, check this out, etc. Another thing is, if you need to retrain formally, right? You're going to go back to a community college or an actual university and get another degree, or a postdoctorate, master's, or PhD or what so, and then that's really going to help you rechange things, and you know that there are opportunities in that field. But again, if you're going to do these things, make sure you research what is the placement once you get that degree. What is the pay from that? Like, these things are available. Don't go just do some pipe dream thing to where you're not going to get hired and now you got a bunch of extra debt too. But some of these things, and again, I try to always warn people off from like living off of their student loans, because then that's just a bunch more you got to pay back. But if you're just barely not making it some, and you could, get student loans that are in deferral, and that little bit of extra beyond the tuition is helping you make the ends meet, then you could be knocking two birds out with one stone, okay? And interest rates are really low. Could be a good opportunity for the right people out there. And then starting a business. I mean, one of the things that I find kind of really sad about COVID and everything that's going on is these super mega businesses are doing awesome, and small businesses are really hurting and going down, right? So there are lots of other opportunities out there. I mean, that is kind of one of the great and bad things about capitalism, is its creative destruction, right? And so there's losers over here and there'll be winners over here. So if you were in a place that's losing, why can't you switch over to the side that's winning, right? And you see these opportunities. Like, I've always wanted to do this, and these things are selling like hotcakes. I could do this. I would need this amount of capital, etc. Check out some of the services that are available. I personally use this one. It's called LivePlan, but it's kind of a cloud-based business planning software that you can use, really put your thoughts out there, do the analysis that you need to, beyond just saying, I think this is a great idea, and I see a lot of stuff on Instagram about this. Like, no, let's do some more due diligence than that, figure out how much it's going to cost you. Again, you don't want to be overly optimistic. That is the biggest shortfall. People starting new businesses, they'll be overly optimistic. So you can read a little bit about that, or again, get some professional help to help you in terms of saying, let's use some more median or even pessimistic numbers and see how that works out for you, right? Or how long you can make it. Anyways, again, interest rates are low. So if you did have the capital to put down, and so maybe that's from downsizing the house, maybe that's you've had COVID, or you got laid off because of it, like specifically, and some of the CARES Act legislation applies to you, to where you could take money out of your 401k and not have the penalty and be able to pay the taxes over 3 years, and then that could be your 20 or 30% down to the business, and you could get an SBA loan, a Small Business Administration loan, at super awesome low rates, right? So again, there are opportunities out there, and plan through them. So again, I said I wasn't going to make this too long. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of resources out there to help you. Even though we're not totally getting along as a people, and between the local, federal, and state government, it does seem in their own way all of those people are trying to help us. So we got to find those resources, find the private business side of things like us that can help you. Keep a positive, mindset, and be productive. And if you do that, the odds are in your favor that things are going to turn out a lot better for you than otherwise. So again, we're always here for you. Please start the conversation. Text us below. We'll try to put a link to some of these in our posts as well, so you can get to them. But obviously, you can see the URLs up there at the top. So again, next week we'll have off, but on October 30th, we're going to do our book review with Zig Ziglar on how to stay motivated, changing the picture. And then the week after that, we're going to have Scott Henderson on from Cube Money. Really excited about that as well, and the fact that it kind of coincides with this. Check it out. Have a super finish the week. Great weekend. If you are having a harder time, we're rooting for you. We'll help you in any way we can. Best of luck going forward. Hopefully we're turning a corner on this at the end of this year, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. See you then.